What is your raw self? Your raw self. And what I'm referring to with the raw self in context of Black Moon Lilith, what part of yourself is unrefined, lacks social etiquette and consideration, is not necessarily processed and cleaned up. It's not parts of yourself that found conformity, agreement, or a means of neutralizing offenses, discomforts that it causes in others. The part of yourself that, it doesn't have deodorant. It didn't shave. It missed rehearsal. It just shows up as it is. What's that part of yourself? What is it? That's the part of you that we have to find the humility to accept and incorporate. It will take time to teach it the rules of social engagement, etiquette, ethics, social code. It would take time. It takes time to refine it and to clean it up. But you have to start somewhere with accepting the full self, which includes the raw aspects of the self. These parts of yourself at the North Node are very familiar. The North Node, of course, is where we didn't find a way to feel comfortable in what we're destined to experience in order to evolve. When we consider the 12th house, there's a lot about ourselves that causes undoing in our life because it has subconscious influence, but we haven't braved the incorporation of consciously and cognitively being aware of those driving factors in our spirit that produces consequences in our life. Parts of ourself that there may be some fear, shame, guilt, hesitation, secret motives that we don't want to talk about. We don't want nobody to know. It's like the preacher's daughter, she grows up all her life being subject to so many codes of righteousness, perfection, the public image, and all of these different things. But secretly, she wants to know what it's like to jump off the porch, drink a couple of Four Locos, stand on stage, and just let it all loose. She's used to being in environments where the preacher, her father, may be around all the goody two-shoes of society, and she wants to go with the bad boys, And this is not something of good or bad. It's something of being honest with ourselves and what we long to experience and what we long to express. Because there is value in that when we get to the sincere intent. To realize it's not evil. It's not bad. It's not something to be ashamed of. That we really honestly have this impulse and drive within us to connect in certain ways in our life that we aren't used to because it wasn't acceptable around us. How else do we learn? What does that mean for you? What does that look like for you? It's a point of growth. It's going to be consistent with the heart soul expression, and what the wisdom of those experiences lead to is the life path. It leads to the life path and the wisdom that you are supposed to take down that life path. But the raw is what we got to get to. When we get to the raw, we start to realize that the flesh is used, the body is used, the physical is used by the soul, by the spirit, to extract the wisdom that it needs, the experiences that it needs to expand and grow. That becomes a justification. Why did you feel the need to do that, to experience that, or to be that, even though it seems to contradict who you are? The soul is always going to present contradictions to the flesh, because the soul knows the route to wisdom that becomes the value of the life path. The darkness is in us, the shadows in us, is part of our teachers. Even though rationally, logically, we say the people we love, we want for them to go certain pathways or to live a certain way. It makes sense to us logically. But it could be counterintuitive to how the soul knows it must get there. You knew all your life that your daughter or your son, your friend, was going to be a healer. So, logically, you think that the thing to do is take all these spiritual classes and indulge in YouTube and tarot cards and all these different things, not knowing that your soul knows the route to what you say you are. Your soul knows the route to what you know you are. And it has a way of getting to that wisdom that may not be understood by the flesh or cognitively. So the soul connects you to points of longing, desire, curiosity that gets you to that wisdom. So you begin doing things, living in ways that are contradictory in appearance to you get into the route of being that healer. And you cause yourself all types of undoings and misfortunes, troubles, pains, regrets, shame, humiliation, turmoil, not knowing that all along you were in the classroom of the spirit, not of the flesh. We don't always realize that the soul really does know the route. And it's hardly ever the route that we cognitively anticipate. Our shadows are there to get us to the wisdom and empowerment that we need to fulfill the mission. And the process will not look like the mission. It will look in contradiction to that mission. Understand that. When it comes to connecting deeply, we have to go through Scorpio. Scorpio has particular laws that requires you to get undressed when you come to her territory. It's about security, making sure that you're really you. You got to take all that shit off when you go through Scorpio. The fake mask, the phony appearances, standing in the image and likeness of something or someone that you're not. You have to be real and authentic passing through Scorpio. Take it all off. Who are you really underneath the mask? The image that made you comfortable and secure. Who are you really underneath all that? What's really going on? At your natal sun house placement, there's going to be some judgment, some criticism, some questioning about that part of yourself. At your Scorpio placement, there's an authentic version of yourself that you want to manifest and bring out and incorporate. Knowing innately that the shadow work is what's going to get you the deep connection that you truly are longing for. But realizing if I am to connect deeply so that I can have emotional fulfillment and empowerment in my life that has transformational potential in my life, getting me to the truth of what my life should look like, feel like, be like in my own existence, justified by what I know is the truth of me, I have to go raw to get there, because raw person has to connect to raw person. And that's what prevents us from having the most authentic experiences at our Scorpio placement and at the 8th house as well. We're not showing up raw, true, real, sincere. We're hiding too much. So if we can learn how to take these masks off, get out of the costume, and also look behind us and see that who we were being, what we were doing is not something to be ashamed of, but something to take account for, so that we can extract the wisdom out of it. Now, internally, deeply internally, okay, you're longing to express yourself in a particular way that at your sun placement, there could be the anticipation of shame should you embrace that part about yourself. The feedback, that is. But that's something you're going to have to learn how to brave. You're going to have to learn to deal with it. We're getting to the real self. Collectively, this has significance as well. And in hindsight, for example, I'll just use an example, anecdotal example that's in the context of this. South Node Libra just ended. That was about feminism and extremes of liberalism. Capricorn Pluto just ended, which was about our corporate ambitions and our relationship with the shadow aspects of the devil card and Machiavellian mind state, materialism, and status that we're learning to shed away and let go of. So, in hindsight of that, we may be able to recall how we stepped into shadows in order to move through those experiences. Okay? Feminism was a deep, dark shadow cast over the image of women. Yet, it revealed what was most authentic about what they really longed to experience, what they really longed to do with their freedom. That's what feminism did. Feminism was a ticket for females to do whatever they wanted to do without any shame, without consequence, without repercussion. Since the Obama era, females in America were allowed to do whatever the fuck they wanted to do without any type of repercussions whatsoever. They were protected by the system. They were protected by cancel culture. There was no way to correct them, hold them accountable, shame them for it. They wowed out and did whatever could come to their imagination as females in society. In surface level, we may look at that like it's a bad thing, because it did lead to many transformational, look at the context, it led to many transformational experiences for females in crisis with herself in what have I done to myself with my own power, with my own freedom. The epidemic of single mother culture, baby daddy and baby mama culture, females getting ran through, high mileage, blown head gaskets. They look good on the outside, but just like a car on Craigslist, you can't trust a good looking car on the outside. The engine might be fucked up. Having no conscience about or shame about how they're behaving in public. Indulging in the drug dealers, the chads, the pookies, the ray-rays, the knuckleheads of society, avoiding men who could possibly ground them or bring meaning into their life. But what was this all about? It was about the fact that females, for the first time in history, got to experience freedom in full. They got to experience freedom without limitation for the first time in history. Man has always enjoyed freedom, which is why we are light years ahead of women when it comes to accountability. We're light years ahead of them. It's very easy for a man to learn accountability. It doesn't mean that all of us do, but it's already localized in our nature that there's consequences for what we do and say. For females, this is an alien concept. I want to be able to do and say whatever the fuck I want to say. I don't want nobody questioning me. I don't want nobody judging me, criticizing me. I don't want nobody holding me accountable. I just want to do what I want to do. And whatever problems come with it, I want somebody else to pay for. I want somebody else to deal with. I want somebody else to be the scapegoat. So it's wish fulfilled, but with the wisdom that goes with the wish that's to be fulfilled. That is, once upon a time, females wished for freedom. And they got the freedom. And the freedom is power. But what must go with the freedom? You must have competence with the freedom. And that competence is along the line of accountability and moral commitment. So they learn through experience. Sagittarius, they learn through experience. They learn through transformational traumas, painful traumas as consequence of their behaviors and actions in a collective level of what are the consequences of abusing freedom, misusing freedom. What are the consequences of abusing and yourself in the name of freedom? What are those consequences? That's the Scorpio truth that they had to get to. The Scorpio truth that they had to get to, it leads to depth of wisdom. It also leads to actual freedom. Because when you get to the Scorpio truth, you now know what to do with the freedom. Okay, I'm free. I have free will. I could do what I want, but it doesn't mean there's not consequences. So females collectively learn now that freedom must go with accountability and moral commitment if you are to enjoy freedom. If freedom is not to curse you later on. If it's not to put you through trauma and pains later on. You must be responsible with your freedom. You can't just do whatever the fuck you want to do with freedom. You're not going to be able to just blame other people or blame men for what you create and initiate, for what you insist upon. So in hindsight, that's the Black Moon Lilith effect. That yes, it presents you wilding out, or people looking at you as if you're wilding out, people judging and criticizing you, writing you off, or people shaming you even, or whatever else. But you end up like Mary Magdalene, where nothing can be held against you if you decide that it's time to learn from what I experience. It's time to learn from my shadows. It's time to incorporate my shadows as source of wisdom, source of authority, source of truth that guides me in my freedom and how to be responsible with my freedom. So it's the same thing with this Black Moon Lilith effect that we now are about to step up a level on. On November 18th, the Sun in Scorpio is going to conjunct Black Moon Lilith. And at that time, we're also going to have Mercury, Sagittarius, at 0 degrees. This will be Tuesday, November 18th. And it's a point to reflect on so as not to miss the opportunity. Black Moon Lilith, she wants us to embrace and incorporate shadows because of the context of Scorpio. It's about incorporation of our shadows, integration of our shadows against what we feel when it comes to shame. Shame around those very shadows. Know that Scorpio's about that shadow work. Stellium is on the way out of Scorpio, and the last 3 of this stellium is Black Moon Lilith, Sun, and also Venus. Venus is bringing the finishing touches to this 9-month process that we've been going through, as Black Moon Lilith is the main host of what we've been processing of shadow work. Venus smooths it out. She puts the coat of paint, the appliances, decorations, the wealth, the provisions, after a healed process, after a finished product in that new construction. She's the closer. The context that we should assume concerning the Sun, you want to find that in your natal Sun placement, house, and sign. Your natal Sun placement, house, and sign. So, your natal Sun house, it contextualizes your entire chart as far as what your destiny is, who and what that includes as an overall consistent theme. As an example, my Sun placement is at the 11th house, therefore I have a soul contract with the society, with community, with the outer world, with the public, with the people, as a humanitarian, as an influencer. Number 9, frequency, and that is showing leadership in that right with number 1 as my heart, soul, urge expression. Therefore, the context with me having Scorpio in the fourth house in Sun, it specifies that there's a lot to do with Cancer themes, that is, matriarchal truths, truths of origin, ancestry, the domestic, values, morals, clarity in the conscience, and generational curses being broken. And this meaning being delivered to the world as opportunity for those who will, or those who are open-minded enough to embrace the blessing in that. When the Sun conjuncts Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio, it's asking us, what have you been ashamed about concerning your deepest, most natural, and sincere expressions and identity of the self? This goes with the heart, soul, urge expression of the self, and what shame you run into when you motion toward that fulfillment and expression of yourself. Heart, soul, urge, not life path. This is the numerical value of the day that you were born, 1st through 31st of the month. Where have shadows, shame, judgment, criticism, rejection, isolation, being punished by the withdrawal of love and support, being punished for simply being who you really are? This is a very powerful time. It's a powerful opportunity. Scorpio wants to get you to empowerment. Power that is yours. Power that is natural to who you are. But those shadows have been in the way. Think about this. What shadows have been in the way? When Black Moon Lilith conjuncts the Sun, it's going to manifest the full intensity of that experience. It eclipses the Sun with shame, judgment, criticism, pushback, and the threat. I'm going to retract my love if you don't do different. I'm going to take back my friendship if you don't become what I want you to be. And it's a crisis, a fork in the road. Are you going to choose yourself or the threat? Are you going to sell your soul again or submit to what others want you to be, or what comfort you can give to others in denying yourself? The security that you can give to others in denying yourself. The particular events that could happen at this time is that what needs to happen will happen, but it will not happen in the way that you might expect. is going to pull the mask off of you. It's going to lift your skirt. You're going to stand there naked, exposed, as a setup for shame. But this is where you turn the setup for shame into a claim of victory. What they wanted to be shame for you is going to become glory for you. What they wanted to become a threat against you is a finality where you get to break free of feeling shamed anymore. Because guess what? I'm already here. You got me. And I'm going to spin this in direction of my own heart and not satisfy your lust to see me fall, to see me fail, to see me hang my head low. I'm going to do exactly the opposite. Mercury at the same time in retrograde is at the 0 degree between Sagittarius and Scorpio. And this 0 degree retrograde Mercury, the 0 indicates the fact that there's a neutrality cognitively that this places you in. And that neutrality is you get to decide on what this means. You get to decide on what you're going to choose and select as your belief from this moment of truth. It's a moment of truth that asks you to select what it means to you. Think about it. This Black Moon Lilith and Sun conjunction, it's consistent with the out of bounds Pluto in Aquarius. The out of bounds Pluto in Aquarius, it's finding our power through innovative means. It's finding our power through the wisdom and our authenticity. That there is a design to what is unique about us. There's a purpose that serves the people in what is unique about us. There are dark portions of ourselves, which can even include certain evils that serves a purpose, that benefits the people. If we find the sincerity to embrace and own that it really is us, that it really is the self, and not turn away and be shamed and walk away from it. I really am like that. I'm not going to hide it. I'm not going to pretend I'm not. I'm not going to duck off and run because it makes you comfortable. No, I'm going to own up to it. And what you thought was going to shame me, it frees me up. It sets me free. So the joke's on you. That's what this is. And with Mercury coming back into Scorpio, it has us to go back and say, hold on, wait a minute. I didn't even do that full force. This shows me right there that I can go back and reclaim every thought that I ever had that was true and sincere, that I knew was the truth recovered in my spirit, but I couldn't articulate it. I couldn't explain it. I didn't have the clarity to bring it out because I was always in consideration of the shame, the pushback, the rejection, the judgment, the criticism that would come, the divisiveness of others to say, I am not going to support you. I'm not going to be with you. I'm not going to help you because you're being a way that I don't want you to be. And this is where you accept that. That's fine. That's okay. Walk off. Do what you got to do. But I'm not leaving myself because I love myself. I'm not rejecting myself because I accept myself. I'm not turning my back on myself because I'm true to myself. Take a walk, jerk. It's one of those. You heard? This is where what's done in the dark, it comes to light. What's thought in the dark, it comes to light. What do you do and what you think? What do you think in the dark? What do you do and what do you think in the dark that you don't want to come to light? That's the very thing that needs to come to light. And it sets other people free. It shows people that there are no limitations. There's no boundaries. Except our own internal moral compass. And what it means for you could be very different than what it means for me. And you got to respect that. The 0 degree. At 0 degree Mercury, my mind is not holding to beliefs anymore that were safe to believe. I retracted back into the 0 degree where I'm really willing to let go of the safety net, the handrails in my journey through my beliefs, Sagittarius. So I had to come back to 0 to let go of those handrails, to take the safety switch off, to put it on adult mode and not child mode. I get to look at the rated R tape and not the PG-13 version. We give people a version of ourselves that's safe, that minimizes what we will be questioned about or what we will be criticized or judged about. We minimize it and we spoon feed other people. And because of that, we're not getting the authentic person that represents God. And representing God is not to be a goody two-shoes, dressed in a suit with gel and your hair slicked back, talking all nice, but you're harboring dark thoughts. Pretending to be all righteous with cologne on, shaking hands and, you know what I mean, being fucking fake. Are we not following the examples of the prophets and messengers who came before us? Jesus wasn't like that, alayhi salatu wassalam. Prophet Muhammad wasn't like that. These was real niggas. Prophet Muhammad was a real nigga. Jesus was a real nigga. They weren't nothing nice. They were full of love. But they wasn't some fraudulent fucking car salesman like people like to portray them to be. Doves and hearts floating around. No, that's not who they was. Jesus even said himself, I come to set daughter against mother and son against father. He said himself specifically, think not that I come to bring peace, but I come to bring a sword. What the fuck didn't you understand about that? And Prophet Muhammad came the same way. He bought a sword, not peace. Why? Because they both were revolutionaries. They were not peacemakers. They didn't represent peace. They represented the route to peace, which was to set yourself free, to come out of conformity and injustices at the power of the land. Jesus through the Romans, and Prophet Muhammad through the oppressive Arabians. Let's get this understood. They walked with their shadows. They accepted all of the rejection, all of the smoke, all of the judgment. Constantly on the run from the law, they were outlaws. The state was out to get them. They were enemies of the state. The rejected of society loved them. The downtrodden of society loved them. The people who was written off of society loved them. And they loved them back. And they became disciples and companions. But so likewise is your mission. We might have thought that we brought the truth of ourselves out already, but we didn't. But we're about to. Black Moon Lilith is going to help us to do so in full effect and intensity. Full effect. And this is where you can finally clear your conscience and clear your spirit and say, I finally accepted myself. I'm glad that happened. I'm glad that happened because this helped me to get the pressure off of me. This helped me to come clean about who I really am, the way I really am, and how I'm going to be. And whoever don't like it, take a walk, jerk. Whoever stays, yes, that's my community. That's my disciples. That's my companions. That's my Aelites. That's my peoples. And I minister to them from the sincerity of the heart, not from a fictitious representation of myself with fake ass smiles and nice words. We're becoming real. We're becoming authentic. Because this is a sun expression, you can look at your natal sun placement. That's where this is going to take place for you. At that house. Scorpio in your natal birth chart, this is where you're very secretive. You don't let everybody in. You don't let everybody know. You're very limited on what you let be known, on what you share, what you open up about. You back into the space and you watch and you observe. You minimize your movements. You minimize your words and interactions. And you hold the code of secrecy over this area of your life. But this is where people get a glimpse of what's behind all of that. And this is how we get to put other people on notice. It's sort of a christening before Mercury retrogrades back into Scorpio itself. At that 0 degree of Sagittarius, it's in a neutral position with ideas and beliefs that you have to where you are subject now to release them and go back to the drawing board and dig a little deeper to see if you can get a little more true, a little more sincere, a little more real in what you believe, to make sure that the last cords and anchors and chains that are binding the deepest, most authentic expression of the self finally gets released, so that when Mercury goes direct again back through Sagittarius, it is based on what you truly hold as your beliefs, based on the truth that you got to confirm from your own dark experiences of Scorpio. This may also initiate a journey of rediscovery of the self in comparison to the themes of that house that ends up coming up, where you brave it finally to get a little deeper about what you're calling truth or what you're saying is the truth. Why? Because unforeseen events, the inevitable events, it manifested to push you through that barrier that you failed to initiate yourself through. Understand, it's a favor being done for you, and it sets you free. It clears your conscience. Truth is what sets us free. So it's a moment of truth. And a moment of truth, it's a vulnerability in that moment. And we know that vulnerability, it's always with our growth. Our growth is always behind vulnerability. This is taking place simultaneously in trine with Cancer Jupiter. So there's support there. It's also a trine with Saturn in Pisces, as well as Neptune in Pisces. So internally, there's considerable support with where we're going with this. Jupiter's making sure that we get in contact with self-nurturing, emotional security from our internal mechanisms rather than external mechanisms. Because this event is going to make us hypersensitive to our need for emotional security, because it's going to push us to the limits of our emotional security, because it's going to feel as if it is an exposure of us, but really it's a revelation of us, not exposure. It's a revelation, but it feels like exposure because it's deep truth about the self that now comes to surface to be viewed by those who need to view it and see it of you. So externally, we're not going to find that support. Externally, you're not going to find the emotional security that you need to surround you and comfort you and let you know that it's okay, that you could do this, that you can accept yourself. It's all right. You're not disarmed. You're revealed. This is where we have no choice but to realize that Jupiter has now gone internal. And with Jupiter going internal, we are going to find Jupiter internal, expanding and illuminating, confidence, optimism, faith, grand optimism and faith from the core of the self, from the power of the inner child, and from the realization of our ability to afford nurturing for our own self, to fortify our own self. The ultimatum to that would be, I'm going to fall now to this, what seems like an exposure, and I'm going to rush into the security of others by justifying myself, over explaining myself, or begging others to forgive me for being who I really am. Where they do that at? Fuck all that. Yeah, nigga, this is me. And I'm glad you finally get to see that this is me. And what? And what, nigga? And I'm goody right here. This is where I want to be. Yeah, I'm tired of hiding. I'm tired of the pretending. I'm tired of fake smiling around y'all niggas. Yeah, I'm glad you took it there. I'm glad you said something. I'm glad that got exposed. Good. Now I can breathe. So since we already here, and you seeing the real nigga in front of you, it is what it is. What's good, nigga? What's good? Because this is who I am, this is who I'm gonna be, and you're gonna have to get used to it if you're gonna be in my fucking radius. You heard? Putting niggas on notice. The real nigga is born. Understand that. It's the birth of the real nigga. You heard? And we're put back in touch with Jupiter internally, which is how it must work. You can't get to security from other people. You can't get emotional affirmation and confirmation from external sources all the time. It's not always going to be available to you. You have to be able to source your own emotional security in being yourself. Even while the whole environment of the external world seems to come against you, but you are for yourself. You are for yourself. If God be for me, who can be against me? Understand? It's setting us free. Not exposure, it's revelation. Revelation of the self. And when that happens, since Mercury will from that point be in Scorpio, in retrograde, you are going back to recover codes of truth about the self that you hesitated to incorporate, or that you stepped over, went ahead and say, you know what, I really don't need that bad. I'm just going to go ahead into Sagittarius, into the promised land of freedom for myself, and I'm good. No, I don't think so. Mercury retrograde says different. It says, no, you didn't get authentic enough. You're not true enough. You didn't dig deep enough. And you left a whole bunch of shit back there that you were supposed to get and take with you. But because you was too embarrassed to do it, you conveniently left it there and you showed somebody a half-assed picture of yourself that really ain't who the fuck you are. Now that we expose your ass, now that we reveal the truth about you, you might as well just come all out and relax with it. Smoke a fucking cigar and walk with it. Walk butt, booty ass naked down the street. Yeah. Let your nuts hang. Dick swinging everywhere. Yeah, you got me. You see me now. I might as well swing this motherfucker. Fuck it. And so in that attitude, you're going to pick up everything that you left. It's like somebody told you, yo, okay, I need you to get ready. You're going to go with me on this journey. This journey you've been waiting for a long time. You're like, yeah, I want to go on the journey. So you left behind things that you was ashamed of. You know, you had it in boxes. You had it under the bed. You hid it under the mattress or whatever. You know, it's things about yourself that you hid away. So then you went on that journey, with the Sagittarius. And when the sun crossed Black Moon Lilith, it's like a moment where you least expected it. It revealed things about you that you were hesitant to show or reveal to people. Okay? Let me give an example. All right, boom. So let's say, let's say you, let's say you know what I'm saying? You somebody that smoke weed, right? Okay. You smoke weed or whatever. And you're expecting that, the environment where you're going at, you don't want nobody to know that you smoke weed, right? So you left a blunt, you know what I'm saying? You left, some, what I'm saying, some smoke or whatever under the mattress, different, your lighters and all other stuff. You left all that stuff at the crib, and on the journey to this expression of freedom, okay, you got in the car, and you got in your subconscious, you got in the back of your head, damn, I wish I could have bought that blunt. You feeling good about, the experience you have, and you laughing, you joking, you talking it up, you really, connecting with the environment and the people and all this other stuff. But you left parts of yourself behind that good and well, what I'm saying, is really what what you want, what time you want or whatever, but you decided not to bring those things with you. And as you're journeying, you're realizing that, there is accommodation for the real me, okay? Because what ends up happening is, okay, for example, okay, they pull out a blunt, all right? You in the car, and y'all in a conversation, they pull out a blunt, being their self, and they're like, yo, you smoke here, you want to hit the blunt, you know what I'm saying? So they let you hit the blunt or whatever and stuff like that. You like, damn, I could have bought, man, I just got, what I'm saying, I just got that weed or whatever, I could have bought my smoke or whatever, enjoying myself. Damn, yo, go back to the house, man. You know what I'm saying? I gotta pick something up. You go back to the house and you get all your shit, you know what I'm saying? And now you can relax and really be yourself. But you was uptight at first, trying to hide who you was, when you wasn't naturally flowing. Your subconscious was bogged down by what you left behind. You're not being you. You're just not being you. I talk about Islam a lot, right? So let's say, okay, for example, it's not a good example. Okay, so like, boom. Kim Kardashian, okay? Kim Kardashian has this aspect, Black Moon, Lilith, and Sun, okay? Kim Kardashian has this. And as all you know, Kim Kardashian and Ray J, they had a sex tape, you know what I'm saying, that ended up getting exposed. And, unexpectedly, that led to, her whole career kicking off. It might have been humiliating, might have been embarrassing. Oh my God, everybody seeing my sex tape and, all this other stuff, and nobody knows rather it was deliberately done or rather or not it was accidentally done that the tape got revealed. Nobody really knows that. But the point is that Black Moon, Lilith, and Sun conjunction is that. It is to reveal something about yourself that really is you. It's what you do behind closed doors. It's what you do in secret. And it's what you really want to do in the open. It's who you want to be in the open, but you're ashamed or you're embarrassed or, what I'm saying, or whatever else. But instead of the moment being a point of humiliation for you, you decide to just surrender to it, come all out honest about it, be transparent with it, and it ends up leading to a world of freedom for you. You know what I'm saying? And Black Moon Lilith, this most likely is something that people of the outer world do not accept as morally acceptable, that do not accept as a norm or something that we should do. It's taboo, okay, or whatever. But it's a natural expression of yourself, good, bad, different, or ugly, or whatever, okay? It's still a natural expression of yourself that you have embraced, and because you embraced it, it now serves you. You know what I'm saying? You ain't walking around, lying and pretending. I went through the same thing, many decades ago. I'm 42. I went through the same thing where I realized, I'm a polygynous person. You know what I'm saying? And I was very young when I accepted that about myself. I didn't have to wait till I'm later in age, because I always cared about the idea of being someone who would be called a cheater. You know what I mean? I don't want nobody calling me a cheater. I don't want nobody accusing me or whatever else. So I decided, okay, I always wanted more than one woman. It didn't make sense to me to choose one woman because I feel like, I'm being a liar. No matter how much I love a woman or care about a woman, I could be honest enough with myself to know I would prefer to have more than one woman. And I learned very early that all I got to do is accept me and present who I really am and not be ashamed of it. And people are more likely to accept you only because you accept you. And what I ended up finding very early on is that because I accept that about myself, I never had a problem with other people accepting that about me. I would tell you in a minute that that's who I am. It doesn't mean that, I'm promiscuous, because I'm not, or that, I'm a womanizer. Well, today I'm not, because there was a time where I did go through a phase where, I feel like I really was a womanizer. But however, it's parts of yourself that's taboo, that society normally would not accept, that people normally would not agree to, or that is not part of the traditional norms of your environments that you are from, or that you're around. It's counterintuitive to what people would think would make sense. But again, Pluto is out of bounds, and Pluto is the Lordess of Scorpio. So these are out of bounds expressions of ourself that we have to incorporate into our identity and not hide it. Not pretend like it's not us. You see what I'm saying? And what ends up happening is you give yourself freedom. You finally set yourself free because of that. You unbind and untie yourself. Fuck what people think. No matter what you do, people gonna think negative about you anyway. They gonna talk shit anyway. Who gives a fuck? Most are hypocrites any damn way. Who gives a fuck? And I set myself free when it comes to that. And nobody could ever, hold anything over my head. Oh, you a womanizer and you need to control yourself and all. Nigga, I ain't had sex in 5 fucking years. 5 fucking years. I ain't out here fucking bitches. And it's not like I don't have access to women. I have grand access to women. I've always had access to women. That has never been a fucking problem. But I've decided to respect myself. I found the blessing, opportunity, and grace in not being promiscuous and choosing not to womanize and fornicate. I found the benefit and blessing in that, while I still hold to the belief and conviction in myself that it is my nature that I am not going to be ashamed of, that I choose that I am a man who is more than likely going to be with more than one woman at a time. That's me. I'm not wrong. I'm not unrighteous. I'm not fucked up for it. I don't have a mental illness. No, that's who the fuck I am. I accept it. I celebrate it. And I don't want it to be any other way. I like how I am. Fuck who don't. Anybody who don't, fuck you. Kick rocks, nigga. You can't call me a liar. You can't call me a cheater. Because those are 2 things that ain't nobody ever gonna be able to call me. I got too much courage for that. See what I'm saying? So, this is where events are gonna happen, to set you free. It's going to come. It's not going to come in the way you think. But it's going to manifest. And it's finally going to set you free. And it's going to put you in position where, I've always wanted to feel fulfilled like this. It's like I could breathe finally, finally out the closet with, with what I've been thinking and feeling, and all along I've been hesitating and I didn't even have to. Now, I feel like I've accepted myself, and I feel like I got more room to breathe. This is something to look forward to. And as Mercury comes back into Scorpio after this event, it changes your perspective about the truth of yourself and the truth of your reality, showing you that you could afford more bravery, more courage, more sincerity, more depth in the truths that you are recovering of the shadow aspects of the self, to incorporate them boldly, to incorporate them sincerely, and never hesitating to leave them behind. And what this does, it helps you to present the full self, the full potency of the self, the parts of the self that's transformational to others, influential to others, that demonstrates leadership to others. And that leadership is in context of Aquarius, which is, I know the innovative path to our solutions. Because what is dark in your nature, it relates to what's dark in my nature. What's a shadow in your nature, it answers the question to what's a shadow in my nature too, because none of us are very much different than the other. We all can relate to each other's shadows. And we all are assigned different shadow works to incorporate into the whole scheme of our communities, so that we can live a more authentic version of life rather than a conformity that lacks sincerity and depth of connection, because we have to go and hide parts of ourselves in order to coexist. We have to get at the true deep nature to really serve humanity. Because if we can't get at the true and deep nature, we're missing the target of what we really need collectively. What do we need? We only can target and address and serve what we really need when we're bringing our shadows out, when we're acknowledging the full measure of the self, the entire self, not just selective self, that's in agreement with what the world is on. I've been talking a lot about white Christian nationalism and the fear mongering around Muslims and Islam. This goes with that context, okay? Because the truth is that Christianity is a great hiding place for lazy intellectuals. It's a great hiding place for people who are too lazy to do the work spiritually. It's a convenient bandwagon for people to jump on and say, I'm Christian. Christ is King. Jesus is Lord. But 9 out of 10 people who make these claims can't explain it, can't justify it, can't teach it, can't break it down. They don't even understand what they're saying. It's the lazy person's religion. This is where lazy motherfuckers pile up in a bandwagon behind a cloak of righteousness, a cloak of goodness, judging and criticizing everybody else while being exactly what they accusing everybody else of being. Benjamin Netanyahu put up big money to spread fear-mongering and propaganda against Muslims and Islam for the obvious reasons that I described in a previous video to this. You could go there, find your bravery, find your brave heart, and listen to it. This is daring to go against the status quo, daring to go against popular opinion, daring to spin the other direction and say, hold up, I know all of y'all is on that, but I'm not on that. I see it different. And everybody gasping and clutching pearls. So we have to get used to and comfortable with causing people to gasp and clutch pearls at what we say and do. We got to get used and comfortable to making other niggas uncomfortable. That's the spirit you got to get into. You got to find that part of yourself that makes other people uncomfortable while you comfortable. If there's not things about yourself that make people clutch their pearls, that make people gasp for air and say, oh, the audacity of this person, you ain't real yet. You still fake. I'm just keep it a buck. What is it about you that make people gasp for air, clutch their pearls and say, oh my God, the audacity. Oh my God. I can't believe she said, oh my God, really? If you're not causing people to say that, to think that, to feel that, at your sun placement, you're not real yet. You still shook. You still shook. Your sun placement, what is that house? Where is that reality in your life? First house through 12th house. Where is your sun placement? Your sun placement is where, by this time, you should be having people to gasp for air and clutch their pearls at the things that you do and say authentically. Not just for shock value, not just for attention and validation, but in being yourself and expressing your true natural thoughts and beliefs. If you got everybody around you agreeing, yup, yeah, yup. You know what I'm saying? Leaning on a cooler, talking shit from a safe space of conformity, you fake right along with them. You just another fake motherfucker in the crowd. You got to shake shit up. Y'all remember Jesus went to the synagogue, flipping over tables, talking shit, letting them know that they're a den of vipers and thieves, a synagogue of Satan? Yeah. He came in causing everybody to clutch their pearls and gasp for air in amazement at his audacity. He was walking around with a known prostitute as his disciple, Mary Magdalene. People were shocked and amazed at the fact that the one who they were looking at as their savior, their Lord, a prophet, a messenger of God, or who some were misperceiving as son of God in improper context. It was son, S-U-N. But either way, that's neither here nor there. Mary Magdalene was running with him too. And niggas looking at her like, damn, yo, I just got her off Backpage last week. I hit that shit. What's she doing with, you know what I'm saying, with Jesus? What's she doing walking with this nigga? Who is he? Nigga, that's a whore. That's a prostitute. Yeah, but what happens when a whore or a prostitute comes to the truth? It sets her free. It transforms her. It purifies her. And all of the darkness as she passed through it now becomes wisdom. And now becomes resilient power. It embodies Scorpio. So what can you say? You know what I mean? That's one thing I like about, Islam is that Islam is a gift for African American men. Because all my life I seen how drug dealers, criminals, thugs, gangsters, street niggas, they gravitate toward Islam because Islam is not judgmental toward them. It embraces them and it converts all of their experiences into wisdom. It's transformational for black men. It perfects their character and it gives purpose to their nature. I've been around street niggas all my life, and Islam always has a special place in street niggas' heart because it's just real. That's the same thing, but it's taboo to think that way. It's taboo to think that, you could be in the depths of Brooklyn, the depths of Philly, the depths of Jersey, in the hard, rugged terrain of the streets and still be Muslim. Yes, you can. I know Muslims that, was selling drugs, still smoking blunts, you know, all that street life shit. Yeah, it's a struggle to be perfect, but it's a blessing to be authentic. Be your fucking self. And it's not a contradiction. There are levels to our understanding, to the breakthroughs that we have. And there's a difference between being a Muslim and being a believer. But nonetheless, this is about accepting ourselves as we really are naturally. And that becomes our ministry. Because how else can we connect deeper if we're not being authentic, if we're not being real? You can't connect with people being fake. You can only do that being authentic. And this goes around a psychology of believing that something's wrong with you just because you're not the perfect ideal of what people have determined is righteous. Sincerity is righteous. The effort, the commitment to aligning with truth, that is righteous. And notice I said effort and commitment, not finality. There is no finality in righteousness. It is only effort and commitment because it has to be renewed every day. That embodies Aquarius. Not to impress anybody, not looking for status, none of that. I want to be me, and I want to show up as me. And if you watch, you can learn something. If you watch, you can learn something. Where the real niggas at? This goes against, this is counterintuitive to the ideal that the proper person is the ideal person. No, this is about learning how to be your improper self, leading with your improper self, because in that is solutions for all of us through Aquarius. What do we need as a people? Well, who are we as a people, truly? That's where it starts.